I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
Okay, and this is Gojira Amazonia. Holy moly, haven't done a Gojira
For the
song
big homie, the village.
in damn near a year. If you, dear listener, would like your song reviewed, there's multiple ways to accomplish this feat. My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon, where you will then get sucked into the Borg or the alliances. The alliances are basically genre-based groups of people who pool their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we review. So if you're a metal fan or you're a Gojira fan, you might want to join the Extreme Underground. They're a collective of extreme underground fans, etc., etc., etc.
They do a lot of cool things there. So.
Q. We're watching a documentary on QAnon on HBO.
I did that on purpose because people will be like,
there's that.
Put a random Q in our video.
If you, dear listener, would like to know how to watch a QAnon documentary with your boy, you'd have to go to the Middle America site to accomplish that feat. Okay. If you're a filthy capitalist and you don't want to be part of an organization or an alliance or whatever people want to call it, the simplest thing that you can do is do the filthy capitalist option. $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You do that 3 times, you get knocked down to the $75 rate. You can do that on Patreon, or you can do that at PayPal, VinandSoriMerch@gmail.com. Having said that, let's listen to a band we haven't listened to in quite some time. This is Gojira. And the name of the song is Amazonia. Hopefully this video doesn't get blocked, guys. But having said that, let's do it. Can you get the lyrics up there? Because we're gonna have the actual official.
Them, right here.
We're gonna have the official video here. So. Man, I really hope this video doesn't get blocked, bro.
I know.
These guys are like Rage Against the Machine for like environmentalists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're really cool. Which
I didn't know the Amazon was burning. So sorry for all you people that already knew that and think I should know that. I knew California was, but I didn't know.
Well, I don't know if it's like burning like right now, but you know, that fire that you see, like it's called like clear cutting, and you know they'll go and like cut everything and then they'll burn it and all that. You know, remember that thing that we were doing when the girls were like hugging the trees and all that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, some of the stuff is just weird, man. Like some of like the, you know, environmentalists, they're like really, but it's just like any movement.
They use
like
it to clear the land.
Yeah, clear cutting, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, but what's the point?
So that
clear cutting makes sense because they're cutting down the trees because they probably want to sell it to make cabinets and all kinds of other things that people would have to pay lots of money for. But why burn it?
Well, they want to make sure that it's, you know, like completely clear so that when you go to build things or whatever, that there's no trees or stumps or anything that you have to do. Like, you know, so it's the whole contrast of like industry, you know, industrial revolutions, technology, and nature, and how to find that balance and all the rest of it. Like, and like I said, some of the stuff is just downright crazy. Like, I'm about to put the video up there, the one I'm talking about. Like, you know, the first time I saw this video, I was like, these people are insane.
Wow, they just keep getting worse, the fires.
Yeah, so check this out. I'm sure you remember this video, right? You remember this video, right?
No.
Deep in the woods of North Carolina, an extremist eco group called Earth First bewails violation of American nature.
I want to mourn the loss of all the old growth trees I've seen, and tell them that we love them and that we don't want them to die, that there are some people here who do care. So I want you to know that, trees, that we care.
I think we are deeply hurting in America. I think we are deeply craving answers. I think that we've lost our identity as we have evolved into technology and into industrialized society. Bring me to this cathedral. Bring me to those guys. Bring me to this rock that has the most incredible life. That makes me feel alive.
I've looked at clear cuts and burnt forest, and I've felt outraged, but I didn't scream and I didn't cry. And I need to.
So there's fringe people on in every movement, you know. I would probably consider those people to be fringe, although I don't know, maybe there's more fringy people who'll probably kill you for cutting down a tree or something like that. Like, there's probably people like, you know how PETA is, like they take it
I know.
Some of them take it to the extreme.
Yeah.
But like
I have such a weird relationship with that thing you just showed because it's so weird, and also it's embarrassing to me that they would do that publicly with other people around and with the camera and stuff. But at the same time, like,
do what?
When I was a kid,
like, what exactly?
Ah! Like,
see, it's funny because
it's embarrassing to me.
Gojira was essentially doing the same thing. They were yelling, right?
Yeah, but
They were yelling, and I'm sure if you went to a Gojira concert and they were singing this song, like, I'm sure they would register at a higher decibel rate than this girl did.
Yeah.
So it's just very, very interesting to me, like, who we take seriously and who doesn't get taken seriously.
Well, it's all about how you present it. I mean, like, I remember, because, like, I can relate to what she's saying as far as there was at the corner where...
Which girl? Because there are multiple people talking in that
The
video.
last one that said, like, I saw it and I was outraged.
We want you to know that tree. We want you to know. Or the last one, the one that screamed.
That lady has seen too many Disney movies.
The one that screamed?
Yeah. Well, the one that said, when I've seen this, I've been outraged, but I never cried or yelled.
Said anything,
and then she proceeds to yell.
Right.
Like, there used to be a ton of trees around where I used to live, and then slowly kind of the city started growing up around it. Like, you know at that corner where there's the Irving and the Dairy Queen and all that stuff? Like, the only thing that was there was Irving and the bank. None of that other stuff was there.
It was all trees?
It was all trees.
Holy moly.
And then I remember we came by and that whole area was just clear cut. And I literally felt sick when I saw it. And I didn't understand why I felt sick. I'm still not even sure why I felt sick, to be honest with you. But I felt really, really sick, and it bothered me a lot. It upset me. I was probably like 12. I don't really know. And I'm still like that. If I see like a whole bunch of... I guess I don't like to see like... I mean, now they cut it down so they could put a Rite Aid there, and there's like a piece of a hospital over there and stuff. So there's positive things happening, but I guess... I don't really know. So, like, I can relate with that. I just can't relate with publicly screaming like that. Especially with the camera.
Unless you're in a metal show in which it's okay to publicly scream.
There's certain environments.
That's what I'm saying is, like, I'm saying these are fringe people and they're crazy, but at the same time, it's like, what's the difference? He's out there yelling, screaming over clear cuts and burnt forests. It's the same thing. But
no. You're taking an art form in which you scream anyway, and you're just screaming about something that you think matters.
Right.
But the reason that it's so odd is because like these people are just like sitting in a forest, like.
Well, yeah. I again, and obviously
the thing is, you really have to think about your approach when you're trying to do something, because are you trying to get taken seriously or not?
Well, obviously the camera guy, the narrator, like he was mocking them. Obviously, like, oh, it's a group of people in the woods and they're called Earth First and blah blah blah.
I wasn't even listening to him.
It was obviously set up for you to look at these people as strange people and not take them seriously. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's fringes in every group, but there's two major societal issues that I do not really know the answer to. One is the gun control problem, and the other is, deforestation and modernization versus, trying to protect nature. And I don't know where that line is. And, like, it's the same thing with the gun control thing. Like, if making guns illegal, if I believed making all guns illegal would stop these mass shooter incidences that keep happening to my country, I would do it tomorrow. Like, I'm a Christian. The Bible is the only inspired document that I believe in that can't change. The Constitution, the rest of it, I don't care. Mm-hmm. I truly don't care. Which is pretty ironic considering. But at the same time, it's like, I know that would not solve the problem. Like, killing is already illegal. So if passing a law would solve the problem, then I'd be all for it. But obviously, most of these dudes that are doing these active shooter situations don't even believe they're getting home.
Right.
So, like, what is another law going to do to the psychology of that guy? Right. So that's one where I'm like, I don't really know what the answer is. On the other hand, the environmental stuff is another one of those things where I'm like, I don't really know what the answer is, because it's like, yeah, it's terrible that the place got cut down, but they built a hospital and a Rite Aid. Like, both of those things.
Well, that's why I think the greater good should be considered. And
both
I think
of those things serve humanity.
Yeah, I think that we have to be careful what we do with stuff. So, for instance, like the rainforests. People are cutting down stuff in there, and that's affecting. That's what the Amazon is. That's the rainforest.
That's the Amazon.
Okay, so then I do know about it. I just never heard it called the Amazon. That's weird. When I hear Amazon, I just think of very tall people.
Tall women.
So bad, yeah. Anyway, So, yeah, I've heard of that. Like, people, then that's where I disagree. Like, I don't think that is not the greater good to cut down some of these trees so that way Joe Schmo in his big house can have these amazing cupboards.
Yeah, but you're saying that, but, you know, if we find a wonderful plot of land and you know, it's on a cul-de-sac and it has the amount of square footage or whatever, you're going to say, no, we're not going to get that house because it was deforested?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you're obviously what's out there is already out there. So I mean, we're not going to rip those cupboards out because they used to be in the rainforest. Leave them as they are.
Right.
But moving forward, I think that no, you shouldn't be able to purchase if taking from those rainforests is affecting all of us in a negative way. Then why should we allow such a thing? No, you can't do that. You cannot cut down.
Okay. So we don't buy the cabinets that were made from rainforest wood or whatever. Okay.
There's plenty of other wood that you can make your cupboards
but aren't
with.
we harming the people that make that? Because these are not.
That's why I said the greater good. That's just like one person or one company that was benefiting off that, but all of us benefit off of the rainforest.
Yeah, but if you say, okay, we're not going to buy those as Americans anymore, you just like completely wreck the industry for the poor people who make those cabinets. So what about them? They get to not feed their families because you feel bad about the wood coming from the rainforest?
Well, see, the thing is, I don't know how this works, but I guarantee you those people down in the rainforest are not getting the money that people have to spend to buy those. Some middleman is there collecting all and lining his pockets.
I'm certain they're getting jerked, but...
They're absolutely getting jerked.
Yeah, but whatever they end up with is still better than nothing.
There must be other things in that rainforest that can be harvested that we would stand to benefit from.
Well, there's ayahuasca and DMT. I mean, that's...
All right, do it up.
That's ayahuasca central is the Amazon.
Okay, well...
And, you know, it was a very interesting conversation with Terrence McKenna, where Terrence McKenna, basically the people that he met there basically said that the plant taught them how to make it, which has massive implications. Yeah, I mean, my point is, like, I just don't think I don't think that this issue has a simple answer. Like, okay, let me give you a perfect example. Gojira, for example. Mm-hmm. They're very, very health conscious. Mm-hmm. They also, by necessity of their profession, contribute more to the carbon footprint than the regular people that they're singing to.
Right.
Because they're touring.
Right.
They're on planes. They're in buses that are shooting out emissions. And they're a major draw.
They probably sell T-shirts, too, that are not like...
We drove from Maine to Boston or whatever to see them.
Right.
As did thousands of other people.
Right.
So... They're creating more pollution than any person could.
Oh, no.
Well, and I'm not saying it's the same thing, you know, the right wingers try to do with Bernie. Oh my God, Bernie Sanders on a private jet, and he's not taking, you know, JetBlue and all the rest of them, and yet here he is, this giant, you know, and it's easy to me. Those are cheap criticisms. It's like, yeah, Bernie, like. Bro, I would appreciate it if you would go on a regular plane. Like, that would mean that you're a true believer. But at the same time, how practical is it to put that poor septuagenarian fella, you know, on, you know, with the type of traveling that these poor people have to do? Like,
yeah.
You know, I don't know what my point is. None of this shit is that simple. It's like, okay, Gojira, are you gonna stop touring? Like, obviously not. They have something that's... I think the way you do the arithmetic is to say, yeah.
A greater good.
But if you can inspire all these people that are coming to your shows and increasing a carbon footprint, if you can inspire...
instead of buying...
Yeah, if you can inspire them to do something like definitive, then you could say, on the long term, if I can influence millions of people to really be carbon conscious, then... all the things that they're doing is worth it. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I don't even know if they would say that they think that they're going to be able to do enough good in the world to offset the carbon emissions that they're uniquely contributing to. I'm not... The only reason I'm bringing that up is to simply talk about how complex and difficult this subject truly is. It's like... This is like a gun control type conversation to me. It's like, there are no simplistic solution. There's an ideal that all of us want. None of us want active shooters. None of us want to completely destroy our planet. And then there's the exigencies of living in a practical world. Well, I'm in a country where the gun really is almost a divine being.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when people in Britain go back into the lore of their history, it's King Arthur and, you know, pulling a stone out of a rock. Ours is, we got taxed and our founding fathers picked up guns. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's completely, all of our mythology is around guns. People and what they did with guns.
Yeah.
So there's a real kind of practical thing now to where Americans are almost dependent on guns for their survival, when in reality it's guns that are killing us all. So it's like, you get into this crazy loop of insanity where people say the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is to have a gun yourself, because we're so inundated with guns that now guns become the solution. So it's the same thing here. It's like, you're so inundated with polluting the planet that the only way to fix the planet is to jump in a private jet or jump in a bus and encourage thousands of people at a given time to emit all this carbon into the air so that you can go to a concert and learn about carbon emissions and how bad they are. My point is not to say that anybody's being hypocritical. Like, I don't think the right winger who is basically looks at you and says the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is, I think that is insane. I think that's an insane paradigm. But I also understand that this guy's in the real world. And in the real world, when you've got a country that has more guns than human beings, which is America, then that's a position you get put in, unless you're a hyper-idealist person like me who's going to say, nope, you shouldn't have a gun and you shouldn't kill people under any circumstances, even for self-defense. I know that that's an extreme position to hold in not just the United States, anywhere, but definitely in the United States. It's the same thing with this pollution thing, man. Like, I don't know if we've hit some event horizon to where we're not going to be able to reverse this thing, but I think Gojira is a really good example of finding yourself in a situation where you know there's a problem. And I think that honestly, who else in metal is really truly, let me say it this way, at the main stage level, at the mainstream level, who else is bringing this to the forefront of our consciousness as a band other than these guys? I mean, honestly. And it's kind of like Christian music, where you'll have a whole slew of just corny bands that are just terrible that you can't respect, and then you'll find one band that's like, I feel like Gojira is like this. I'm sure there's lots of other environmentally conscious bands, but I'm sure they're just corny, and I'm sure like they don't like pass as actual metal. These guys pass as metal, and so they're saying something that, I mean, I put them on the level of Rage Against the Machine. I think it's just as important. I think the planet stuff is just as important as the social justice whatever stuff. I really do. And, you know, he said something really interesting. He said, like, we're trapped in a green whatever. Where'd the lyrics go? I thought that was a double entendre, actually. Embedded in these walls of green is a curse that we must follow. I thought that was another gold mine is unveiled, the source of our sorrow, learn. Embedded in these walls of green is a curse that we follow. And so I thought that was a double entendre, because on the one hand, the walls of green, right, like indicate the rainforest. But on the other hand, green is generally a color that's about money, right? So another gold mine is unveiled, and then it says, embedded in these walls of green is a curse that we follow, which is basically, and he said we, you know, and that's what I like about it, because it's like we're all in this.
He's not preaching
like,
to you.
Right, it's not like he's up there preaching, but he's like, okay, now there is a confluence of capitalism and the destruction of nature, because when you say that your value is generating as much capital as you can possibly generate for yourself and your immediate family, you're not going to say, well, you know, if I do this to this forest in 70 years, if, you know, 500 other people do the same thing, we're going to really wreck our planet. People aren't thinking like that, bro.
Right.
Especially like hardcore capitalists. Hardcore capitalists, the only thing that they think about in the future are their futures. Right. and what their kids are going to have and the type of lifestyle that they're going to secure and all the rest of it. They're not worried about the environment, bro. Mm-hmm. The environment is one of those things where it's kind of like, it's like smoking. It's like, hey man, if you keep doing 9 packs a day, you're going to get lung cancer. And the guy's like, yeah, man, but I enjoy the hell out of the cigarette. And then you go to the doctor and you get a bad phone call. Yeah. And by that time, it's like...
Or you're worried every time that you start feeling a little...
Yeah.
Oh, no, I have it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what's happening with the plant. Like, if I was not a Christian, I'll tell you, I'll go this far. If I wasn't a Christian and I didn't believe that there was somebody overwatching all this stuff, I would be extremely terrified. Mainly because of the planet stuff.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't see, like, go tell, the most industrialized countries, are like, China is killing the world with their pollution, and they're not even, they'll laugh at you if you tell them, hey, China, you gotta stop doing this, because it's fucking up the planet. They're like, bitch, we got our 2049 plan. China's planning to rule the world by 2049. So, like, everything they're doing is toward that goal.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's like, everything they're doing is
randomly picked number.
Well, it's not randomly picked. It's there's an algorithm, and they're like, hey, if we do this, this, and this, we're going to be able to overcome America, yada, yada, yada.
Wow.
So, like, that's all they care about. Period. Okay, so now you're in America, and you're the sole superpower in the world, and you know, the horrible shit we've done to the entire planet because we're the lone superpower in the world. So you're looking at China. China's saying they're going to be the lone superpower in the world. So you're not going to prioritize the planet either. You're going to prioritize ways of getting into a pissing contest with China.
Yeah.
And then you're going to it's a one of these really vicious cycles that it's predicated on capitalism, and I don't think that. And, you know, America's the most capitalist country on the planet, and we're also the most powerful. I mean, what are you going to do? Yeah. Like, I'm not sure that there is a real human solution for this stuff. And I think Gojira is a perfect example of that. I think a real human solution to this is impossible.
Well, I think the other thing, too, is it kind of feels like such a big, giant problem that it's like, okay, well, I'm not that company that's emitting blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just a regular person at my house.
Right.
And so you feel like, so what if I throw that can in the trash can rather than in the... You know what I mean? Like, what difference is it really going to make? But that's where, you know, if you're an individualist, you're like, it's not going to make really much of a difference. But if you're a collectivist, then you're going to understand that, yeah, if you make those changes, and so does everybody else, even if it's a small change, even if everybody said, you know what, I'm going to pick one thing today that I would have, like, done negatively toward the planet and do something positive with it. So instead of throwing the can in the trash can, I'm going to actually recycle it. Instead of throwing my mask on the ground when I leave the store, I'm going to take it and reuse it for the next time. If that's what the safe thing to do with it is now, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and you know,
certainly don't throw it on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Then if everybody does that, then that's like a huge, massive number of change.
Correct.
But you know, you keep thinking, well, what is my little change going to do? I'm going to inconvenience myself for what? Nothing?
And you think if you do Gojira, okay, so the last video they released like 2 weeks ago has like 3 million views on it, right? So this video is probably going to get 3 million views, and you know how it works. It's like 2.5 people. Yeah. So you're probably going to get between 7 and 10 million people that watch that. Okay. If you had a conversion rate of 100%, that's 10 million people that are radically changing their attitudes. Well, if you had those numbers,
well, then
it justifies the carbon footprint. But these guys, you know, they're going to get deals with guitarists. They're going to get deals with drums. They're going to get deals with mics.
Yeah.
And I'm sure none of those are constructed in a green environment.
Probably not.
And everybody knows, especially in a post-Napster YouTube world, the only way that these artists make money is on the road. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. And so, you know, they gotta eat. You know, they're kind of like the coal miners. Like, this is all I know to do.
Right.
And I gotta feed my family.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
Do what you will with that, you know, and then that's where the whole learn to code thing came. I just think it's a very, very provocative, that's really good. I just think it's a very, very provocative idea and concept, and when Bernie takes a private jet, and then, it was very disheartening because I knew exactly what my right-wing friends were going to do and say about it. I understood it. It's like, oh, you have these rules for you, but not for me. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like the pastor at the church where he encourages everybody to give to the church, but he doesn't give to the church because he's being supported by the church. So there is a sense in which, there are different kinds of rules for different type of people depending on the ecosystem you're in. It's just a fact. And I don't think that those are necessarily wrong either, but it's kind of a cheap... If you're not environmentally conscious, you can always find a way to... Because it's such a complex problem.
Yeah.
You can always find a way to go...
a lot of times, wrecking the planet is so convenient.
Oh, yeah, well...
You know what I mean?
Because we've got systems and structures... And that, to me, it's the same thing with the gun control thing. I'm like, okay, banning guns and making them legal or illegal isn't the issue. The issue is we've got a massive mental health issue in our country, and maybe Medicare for All can solve the gun control problem. Because all these people are crazy as hell.
Yeah.
But especially if you're a dude, dudes are not going to go for any mental health checkups.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially if they got to pay out of pocket for that shit, right?
Yep.
So to me, I'm like, okay, maybe we're looking at the wrong solution here to this gun control, bro. It's the same thing with the environment, right? It's like, you just hit the nail on the head. It is more convenient and monetarily efficient because we've structured our society and our world around structures and habits that are bad for the planet. It then makes it impossible almost for a regular Joe or regular Sori to do the right thing because the structure's created to funnel you into doing the wrong thing. So maybe the argument shouldn't be around, oh, you're using too much emissions, blah, blah. Maybe you come at the problem a different way and say, let's create structures where people are incentivized to take care of the planet. Instead of looking at it as a sacrifice. Because right now, it's basically, we need to sacrifice now for the future. And most people are selfish. So when you present it that way, they're not going to listen. But if you were to find a way to say, this is more convenient now, and this is better for you now to take care of the planet. If we created structures where that was the case, then we'd really get somewhere.
Well, I think that there should be government funded incentives for companies to make themselves. So, for instance, when I go to the grocery store and I'm trying to get the laundry soap, I've been buying those pods because they're much faster. You just chuck a pod in there. A lot of times the little cup is missing in the bathroom, so it's easier. I know the pods are all there. So anyway, I'm buying these pods. You can get a big bucket of the pods, or you can get individual bags. And the bags, I think, are more friendly to our environment because the big box is more of these plastic totes that are tubs that are getting all over the place. So they kind of advertised it this is more eco-friendly if you buy it in the bag and then you just refill your big tote. But there's not a big monetary savings for that. So I have to add in an extra step to open up that. The bag is friggin' impossible to get into because it's child safe. So once you finally get into the stupid bag, then you gotta dump it into the other thing. You gotta make sure that the plastic container is not wet, that somebody didn't leave it open and take a shower and now it's moisture in there because now all the pods are gonna stick together. So it creates so much extra work, and there's not enough of a gain monetarily for me to say, okay, I'm gonna do that. And unfortunately, I'm not environmentally conscious enough to say, I'm going to take the extra time to do that. I'm just thinking about I have a list of things that I have to accomplish for my family in a day, and the environment is going to have to wait. And I know that that's a terrible way to look at it, but if that's why I'm saying companies should be incentivized, because if it was there was a significant savings in doing it the other way, then that would incentivize me to say, you know what? I am going to save money that way. I should take the extra couple minutes to open the friggin' bag and do that so that way I can save that money for my family. And so then I would make that choice. But it's too close. And I think that that's like that. A lot of times, if you want to get the toilet paper or I know that throwaway stuff like plasticware and plates and stuff are not good for us to have and just throw away. But they do have like biodegradable options that are better for our environment. But those things cost a lot more. And already like a stack of plates is like $10 and we've got 8 people in our family. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, like, the monetary... that's why I think that there should be government-funded programs that would help, like, make those things. You know, like, they'll have, like, we saw, like, light bulbs that were, like, $1.
Yeah.
And regular, like, $9. But they're doing that for, like, everybody to benefit off it.
Yeah.
Then I think that they should do the same thing. Yes.
They have to buy them all from us now. I kind of felt a little bit bad. So we have an Amazon business on the side, and you know, one of the things we do is arbitrage. So you buy something, you know, something goes on clearance on sale for $1, you buy it and sell it at regular price on Amazon, right? And so like you know, there's a electricity crisis in Maine, and so the governor contracted with Walmart and had these energy saver bulbs that are usually $10 a packet for 97 cents. So I went to the manager at Walmart and I said, hey, how many of these do you have? He goes, we got 1,000. I said, all right, I'll buy them all. He's like, you can only buy 20. So, you know, I'm from the hood. So we went in there and we just walked out with like 200 of them at a pop.
We bought them.
We bought them.
You said walked out. We bought them, but...
Yeah.
We bought more than 20.
I mean, it's basically a steal. We bought like, I don't know, like 60% of their inventory. And we're going to sell it at full price. But, you know, that's one of those things where, you know, the government was doing something. But I think that...
I cannot believe you told everybody that.
I mean, it's I'm at peace.
Are you? So you felt a little bit bad. What did you do with
I felt a little bit bad about it.
And then what?
And then I didn't.
Why?
Everybody's getting a stimulus check, man. You know what I'm saying? So, at the same time, I feel bad, right? But at the same time, I'm seeing dudes walk out with like giant speakers and big TVs and shit. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, well, there you go. Mm-hmm. Like the government knows, but see that's the thing about the government. It's like you're right. It's like the algorithm is really simple. You look at the local shop and you go, okay, you're what you do on a yearly basis does X amount of carbon emissions, and we're spending X a year on trying to deal with the fallout of carbon emissions. So if you go green by this time, we'll give you a check. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be like, oh, that's a check. When in reality, all you're doing is you're offsetting, you're spending the same amount of money. Mm-hmm. But now you're spending it to incentivize a green sort of construct over and against a construct that we have right now that makes it sacrificial to take care of the environment. Right. Like what you want to do is incentivize people proactively to take care of the environment. And if you do that, then we'll have solved the problem. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's I feel like it's one of those situations where we're not going to figure it out until we get a bad phone call. Because I forgot who it was during the this is how like not an issue it was. Somebody brought up the environment in one of the debates, you know, in 2020. And it was like, oh yeah, the environment's important. Then they went right back to Trump is bad and blah blah blah. And of course, you know, feel however you want about Trump. I don't care. My point is the environment is like, it gets brought up as kind of like an after. I think Beto said something about the environment, but he doesn't have any real credibility. You know, it's just, it's not taken seriously. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, like a Democrat, but they don't really, look, the elites in our country benefit from the way that the system is currently working. So they're not going to really take environmentalism really that seriously. And there's always, and because it's such a difficult topic to navigate around, if you're against like taking care of the environment, which is strange, but there is always going to be a way you can point and go, see, like, because it's such a nuanced thing. It's so difficult. Yeah. And instead of saying, hey, there's a problem, and like Bernie is not helping by taking the private jet, or these guys are not helping by touring all over the world and encouraging thousands of people to. Yeah. I get it, but at least take the posture of saying, hey, they're trying something. But instead, you know, people on the other side, they just want to go, it's not real, blah blah blah. Anyway, good song. I give it a solid 8. I like the open chord stuff. I generally always default to, you know, chugga lugga lugga. Mm-hmm. But I mean, my roots were, you know, Korn. It was like open chord, low end stuff. So I really, really like that. What do you get the song?
8.1. No, I'm kidding you. Actually, it's an 8.7 for me.
What did I give it? 8.8?
No, you gave it an 8. A solid 8 is what
I
you
meant
said.
to say I forgot another 8. So it was really in my mind.
A solid 8.8?
It was 8.8. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.